Hey everybody, welcome back to Konversation with me, Rick.
And me, Nain.
And our special guest today is a young lady that I met maybe, about 4 or 5 years ago?
Was it that
At
long?
one of the gatherings, yeah.
I
think it was one of the gatherings.
But
yeah.
I honestly didn't
Does
really...
not seem that long ago.
No,
I know, it doesn't seem like long
I
ago,
feel
right?
like I started really talking to you at the Ohana, the dragon...
I think we met maybe that long ago, but we didn't actually
get to know each other.
Yeah,
right.
so
I know I've seen her
and this
for
is
years.
Rebecca. Rebecca.
Oh, yeah,
Rebecca
I do have a name.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, she does have a name, and that we know for sure because
But for the longest time, she just had a face, because we would go to the gathering, and we would see
we
her.
would never know who you were.
And I'd beat
But
you
we
up
didn't
and move
know
on.
who you
Yeah.
were.
Beat you up and move on.
Wow.
Already, is that where we're going with this today?
Fighting words.
I'm
So
kidding,
we should
I'm
move
kidding.
the table then.
No,
We're
no,
not
we're
even
good,
gonna
we're
need
good.
this.
First questions first. All right. How many martial arts do you know? Because from what I'm remembering, and you've been talking every time you say something, I hear different styles that you do. So how many have you actually worked with or done?
Trained in?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kaji Kembo is my main what I started with, and I've been doing that for little over 10 years, I think.
Started as a teen.
Yeah, so I started in high school.
Wow.
With that, my sophomore year of high school, and then, so that's actually the only one that I actually hold rank in.
And what rank is that?
First degree black belt.
First degree black belt.
And then
Instructor.
no, Kaji Kembo first instructor's third degree.
Really?
Yes.
Are you gonna try to promote? Or...
Move
We'll
up.
see. Yeah, I mean,
Move up?
I it's hard. So my training has taken part of the reason that I train in so many things is because at this point I just like dabbling in a million different things, which
Right.
makes it very hard to concentrate on one long enough to actually train it enough to promote. So we'll see if that comes down the road. But I mean, for me, it's all about learning and just
Right.
that's
Oh,
why
that's
I've
awesome.
kind of taken this route of just try
so what
this,
did you
try that,
dabble
train
with
that.
after?
So I started with Kaji Kembo. My Kaji Kembo instructor also teaches some Eskrima, and I learned that I love
Well,
playing
let's
with
promote that person. Who's that?
sticks. that is Grandmaster Ron Esteller.
Ron Stellar. We're
And-
trying to get you on the show, mister. So don't be
Ron,
surprised when
you're
we start
watching.
reaching out to you. We're watching you.
We'll find you.
Because we keep hearing from a lot of our guests
Yes.
about
About
Ron
Ron.
Stella. I mean,
Yes.
This is
you've
the third?
become like this
No, fourth.
legend. Yeah, this is the fourth one that's
Yeah, it's
brought
like,
him up.
we mentioned Danny all the time and
Yeah.
nobody knew who he was. And now we keep hearing Ron and we're like, we don't know who
We don't
he
know.
is.
Yeah, we've never met him. So we're going to look you up, sir.
And so he did a lot of Eskrima stuff,
Uh-huh.
and I loved playing with sticks, and that actually started because I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Yes!
So
Me too.
I was just like, I'm playing with lightsabers.
I feel bad for not wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Do that,
And-
and you know I'm usually in there.
Yeah. So I felt like I was playing with lightsabers, so I enjoyed that. So I always liked playing with the sticks, and so that kind of sparked my interest in the combative knife and Eskrima and that kind of stuff. So I started training with Grandmaster Harry Green, which you
Harry
guys
Green,
had on
yeah,
it.
good friend of ours here.
So I've been training with him for a few years. He's up in Sacramento, so it's kind of a commute. So I train with him every now and then I practice with Dennis, and just we kind of keep up our training that way. So I've been training with him under him for a few years in the combative knife system that he teaches. Also, through my Kaji Kembo school, there was an instructor that would do jujitsu classes.
Oh, cool.
And so, again, I hold no rank in that, and it's been like classes here and there, and going for a few
Sporadic.
months, and then I moved away to school, so I couldn't anymore, and then I came back and I
So,
did a few
so what's
months.
funny,
and then-
Nain, is that she's actually taking a class with me.
yeah, so I've done one. I've done one class with him.
Well, she snuck it in too.
She was like, I'm bored. What are you guys doing?
No, that was a blurry-eyed wake up to a text. Hey, you want to come? Okay. And then last year, I started training with Sifu David. He's got a lot of last names. In Manteca in Kung Fu.
Wow.
And
Nice.
that's the very, very traditional Kung Fu. It's a lot
Right.
centered around the forms and stuff.
Is
So
that the 5 animals?
yeah,
Is
I
that
think
what you
so.
do?
Yes, I'm kind of ashamed to say that I can't remember exactly what style it is, but I just always say Kung Fu. I'll find out when I go tomorrow.
There you
Not a
go.
hard style. That's
Yeah,
why.
so there's that one, and then I've dropped into Professor Bob's school for Kaju, and then we also did the combative knife there for a while, Dennis and I. So I'm all over the place, and then every time I see you guys at the gathering or different events, I want to train with you, and there's always instructors that I see, and I'm
Right.
like, I want to come play with you.
Now, let me ask you this, because you did
pretty
have a
cool.
class with me, and it really wasn't a class. We were just sharing. I mean,
Yeah.
let's not make it sound more than what it really was.
You guys were hanging out, and
yeah, we
you,
were just hanging
you
out.
talk a lot. That's
And I talk a lot, yeah. What did you think about that?
I loved it.
What was your what was your take on it? What did you see?
I loved it. I thought that I could learn a lot from you, really. But I could learn a lot from everyone. I consider myself...
He's taught me the one thing for the last 6.5 years.
Yeah.
It's not much.
I mean, you were showing me the warm-up exercises, and I'm already like, oh, all right, there's something there that's interesting. And and I liked that your style is very applicable to where I am in my current life and
Right.
where my training has taken me. So it'll...
And we're
If,
gonna
if
talk
I
about-
get to play with you moving forward,
Yes.
that'll be really helpful.
So we're going to talk about that a little later on,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that
we'll
sounds
bring it
like
up,
an
'cause-
interesting story, and we're
Yeah.
going to pick your brain on that.
I wanted to ask right away, but let's get to know
No.
Rebecca a little bit more.
Yeah.
You as a child, how was that? How was growing up? What led you down the road that you
Wow,
know?
she's already taking a heavy breath like that. This is a pain in the ass.
I was born on summer's eve. No,
It was a Wednesday.
if you ask my trainer at work, my reports are very long-winded, so I can get very detailed if you want me to. No, so I didn't, like I said, I didn't start martial arts or get interested in that until high school. So my childhood was very much centered around scouting. Actually, my whole family was involved in Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. My brother and my dad were both in Boy Scouts. My older sisters were in Girl Scouts. Our parents were both the troop leaders and
Right.
of the various things.
So you have the hookers for the cookies.
Yes, I do have the
I'm
hookup for
in!
the cookies.
You call me when you get that box.
Damn, so the whole family was in uniform.
Yes. So we were always in uniform.
I see a pattern.
I was that geeky child coming to school with a cookie order form and
Braces.
thankfully
pigtails.
never got beat up for
Braces.
it. But you know what's funny is everybody always badmouthed the Girl Scouts
Right.
until cookie season, and then
Right, they're like-
all the other kids, and especially
Right.
I remember when I noticed it was like 8th grade science class. There was a kid that always was like, "You're in Scouts? That's stupid," and then he overheard me saying something about Girl Scout cookies, and he's like, "I can buy cookies from you?" And suddenly I was the coolest person in the world. I was like,
You know, you
Okay.
became like the drug dealer of the school.
no. And then, so in high school, I would take because by that time kids actually have money, so
Right,
I would
right.
take the order form. And I remember in my junior year English class, the order form somehow ended up making its way around the entire class, and every person in
Wow.
the class ordered something.
That's
And
crazy.
so when it came time to bring them in, I literally had a giant duffel bag full of cookies, and everyone swarmed me. And the teacher was like, "I promise I will end class 10 minutes early so
you
that
can-
we can do your transactions. But right now, y'all need to calm down and sit down."
How many cookies did the teacher order?
A whole case, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why she called it. She was like, I don't want my cookies to be crushed. You all need to sit down so
Calm down,
I can
kids.
get my shit.
Yeah, so I was raised in scouting. We were the scouting family. That
That's
was all we
too
did.
funny.
And then,
Wow.
So did you ever win the prizes that they give for the most sales, or what?
yes, I sold over
How did I know?
1,500 boxes of cookies 8 years running.
She seems very diligent in everything that she does, isn't she?
So the thing with
Oh
that
my
is that
God.
I always did a lot of summer camps and trips through the Girl Scouts, and as a way of funding that, basically, because my parents could not just fork out thousands of dollars for these various things, I sold the cookies as a way to
get that.
earn the money, because the Girl Scout, so the cookie program, usually like girls have a choice of picking the prizes that they have, or
Right.
like a money value that can go towards Girl Scout events.
Oh, okay.
So I
And
would
that was
always,
you.
yeah, I would always take that. So
Man,
Wow.
you were a geeky kid.
I went, I mean, I was going to
pretty cool,
multiple
though.
camps
Yeah.
every summer for basically
did you
all
get
of
all
middle
your
school and high
badges?
school.
all the badges earned them all.
Not all of them, not all of them,
Oh,
but all the important
Wait,
ones.
well, okay. What are the important ones? And is there one that you
You wish you
regret
got?
not got?
Yeah.
Not Not that I can think of. So I mean, the badge system actually changed in my high school years. So when I was younger,
So it got political.
so my I totally lost my train of thought. I don't know
it changed in high school.
It changed.
So
no badge thing.
when I was younger, each level had just like a million badges, and the idea was that you could, do. This one was about crafts, and this one was about cooking, and this one was about camping, and this one was about fire safety, and this one, there were just all these different things. Yeah, and so when I was younger, it was always very much like, okay, do all of them. And my mom was the troop leader, and my mom always had the mindset.
Kind of like you had to almost.
So you were at every meeting.
Oh yeah, I was at every meeting. I went to every event, but it was by choice. I enjoyed it. It's not like I was forced to go.
Okay.
But like my mom, our troop leader, because troops get run depending on how the leader does it.
Okay.
So there's different sizes of groups. Some leaders don't want more than like 10 girls in their troop.
Right.
My mom was like, hey, we can have as many as we want, and then I'll put out the events, and whoever wants to come, and not. So like we had like 30, 40 people registered to our troop, but at any single event, maybe only like 15, 20 of us would sign up.
Still a lot,
but it meant that there was always a good group, and I was at every single event. So I always
were you the troop leader most of the times?
Huh?
Were you troop leader most of the times?
Well, my mom was the troop leader. I was just in the troop, but
you were just like a.
I mean, I was always.
Wasn't there a title for?
Yeah, was
involved.
there a hierarchy?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Besides troop leader and scout.
I was. I mean, if you could be a teacher's pet in Girl Scouts, I guess, because my mom was the leader. But it's my mom was always pretty good about trying to be but it was always weird at like the award ceremonies at the end of the year, because she'd get everyone's badges together, and the girls that only went to a couple events or a couple badges would like have 3, 4, 5, and then I'd have like 20. She usually attached them to like a little ribbon, and she'd have to like attach a second ribbon and have
So like reverse favoritism.
Yeah,
yes,
it's weird. But hey, it was one of those things where it's like, well, I'm signing up for everything. You
so
can sign up
at
for
what
it too.
point did you get to when you started doing martial arts?
So high school.
High school.
Grandmaster Ron had he taught a self-defense program in the high school for several years, and
right at your school.
Yes, at my school. So he would come into the PE class, or the specific PE class that I was in, and it was like a 2-3 week program that he calls Safe Kids, and.
Now, how old you would have been in that high school?
A sophomore, right?
15,
sophomore, so I was probably about like 15 at the time. It was right around my birthday, I think. So, I was about 15, and it's a great program. It's basically in 2 weeks trying to teach the essentials. So it's just blocking so that you don't get hit, how to strike back in a safe manner.
He actually geared it towards you guys specifically.
Yeah, it's geared literally towards, hey, get you as much knowledge in a short amount of time to just defend and be able to get away. Wow. So it's blocking, some basic strikes, and then
cardiovascular, so you can run away.
A little bit. He did. He when it was a high school class, so when people started to be stupid, he would drop us for some push-ups.
Oh, nice.
So, but yeah, blocking, striking, and then wrist escapes specifically, because a lot of like kidnapping and stuff ends up just being a grab and go. So he taught some basic wrist escapes, and then it all culminated in like at the end he had someone come in like be in an attack suit and do like a fake kidnapping drill. So
nice.
yeah, basically. So he'd set up 2 cones and be like, all right, that's the van door.
Yeah.
And they had to get away before they got to the van door. And it was always really intense because, I mean, like as a high school student, you're not used to seeing some guy and like some scary dude in a big costume coming at you. And like it gets really intense. There's tears, there's blood, there's whatever. But usually by the end, people are like, oh, I can fight back. Cool. And it's funny. It was always funny because I did it that first year. And what's funny is I actually missed the first week of the program because I was on a trip. And I came back.
Scouts?
Maybe, I honestly can't remember. I don't know.
Probably.
Maybe.
I went on so many, probably.
And so I came back, and I was having to get a lot more kind of personal like catch up time with him. So I was like, oh wow, this is fun. And our teacher offered extra credit if we went to the dojo at the night or during that 2 week period, so that we could. Basically, if we did a workout at the school, we could come in, tell her, and then we could get off of a mile. so we wouldn't have to run a mile. And I hated running, so I was like, sweet, let's go. And I went to one class, and I loved it. I was hooked.
I'd rather get punched than run a mile.
Yeah, I like it.
Basically.
Let's run a fake kidnapping. I don't want to run.
So, yeah, that's basically how it started. And then I loved it. I started going all the time. I was at the dojo all the time.
Did you ever compete in any tournaments?
No. So,
and why not? Because
that's
the thing. That's a badge of honor in the
his
martial
school
arts.
never went
Especially
to a lot
in
of
Kaiju Kembo.
tournaments.
Really? Oh, really?
Yeah, like we just never did. And I think by the time one rolled around, it was like a kid one, and by that time I just turned 18, so I
So
I
you
was
can't be
too
beating
old
up
for
on
it.
kids.
And
I mean, you could. You're just not supposed to.
I don't know. I just never. I think there was only one time where like I was like, oh, maybe I should go to that, and I had something else going on.
So
and couldn't go.
I'm curious. Was there a specific reason behind the no tournament thing? Or
Oh, I have no idea. I think it was just that I know one part of it slightly might be that when it comes to like the point sparring thing, my instructor was a lot more about real fighting. So
Yeah.
going back and forth between the point fighting and the real
mess you
fighting,
up.
he preferred to work on the real fighting. So a couple times I know when they did go to tournaments, he would start working on the point sparring type of
I was going to say
system.
they got disqualified.
But they would have to literally, like, in the month leading up to the tournament, you have to go back and be like, okay, we can't do that.
Wow.
Or
that's
just
funny.
practicing,
Here's a list of what you can't do.
Yeah, so I mean that would be a question for him specifically, but he never was as big about signing up for tournaments. But when we did go, I know our students usually won first place. So
Right, you just
We
at
just-
that point.
we didn't want to show
Let me
off.
ask you this, because this gets intriguing. Because let's say you're a teenager at the time, and by the time you get to 18, is that nearing your black belt now, or you're kind of like brown maybe ish? Where you? At? How long did it take you to get to your black belt?
I progressed pretty fast at the beginning because I was.
Yeah, you were an overachiever.
I was
like.
I was going quite a bit, but mostly because
Do it.
I never wanted to be home. I was one of those people that just was always wanting
always
to be
out
doing
somewhere
stuff.
else.
So
Yeah, you sold all those cookies just so you can leave for the summer.
Yeah, exactly. So I would, especially in high school, especially once I started driving, I would leave school, I'd go to the dojo, I would help teach all the kids' classes, even when I was still a white belt, and then...
That's why I thought instructor, because I remember you saying something
I always
like that
liked
before.
teaching, and I used to want to be a high school teacher, so that I just have always been good
that's
working
a
with
fun
people,
turn.
so... Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So I would go, and because Sifuron is very big about the best way to learn is to teach. So as soon as you learn something,
yes,
you're
it
pretty
really
much
is.
he
Yeah,
has a turnaround.
And we say that all the time.
Yeah, he has a turnaround of like, all right, well, teach the next person in line. So even as soon as I learned something, like the next people that came in, I was teaching. So I would come in Monday through Thursday, I think the classes were, and kids' classes were like from 4 to 7, and I would help to teach for the 4 to 7 while also learning myself usually. And then 7 to like 8:30, 9 o'clock was the teen adult class, and I'd stay for that. So I was usually in the dojo from like 4 to 9, 4 days a week.
So you would just go home, sleep, and then start the cycle all over again, because you get off, at 3 in high school, and then the classes start at 4, and you have to be there before the classes start.
I'd usually grab a snack on the way. And
So you're driving, putting on your gi as
Oh, you're that kid. You know what I
was
found,
a teacher's pet. Always
what I
have
found
been, always will
interesting
be.
about you,
Wow.
and you can correct me if you like, but even just that one time that I was teaching you some stuff,
Just hit him.
you actually are a very quick learner.
Oh, thank you.
The way you were watching what I was doing, because I pay attention to everything, I noticed that you were really in your head analyzing what I'm actually saying.
Yeah.
When I was talking about whatever piece I was talking about, I could see it turning in your head, and very much like the way Naeem does whenever I show him something new, he's just like, and I could just see
Which
that.
I'm always worried that's going to be interpreted as like disrespect or something because I don't respond right away because I'm like, okay, wait, let me process. Okay, I got it. Good.
Got it.
Yeah, and then when she goes to do it, she's actually doing it really quickly. She picks it up really fast.
We played a few times, and she catches on.
I was actually pretty impressed.
Thank you.
I was trying to catch her off guard one time though.
Really?
When we had when we went to see Harry Green during his training session the day before his conversation.
Yeah.
And you were showing something to I think it was Mickey or something.
Yeah.
Right. And they had done a technique. Part of that technique is that they only hold a piece of the stick with just her 2 fingers, 2 or 3 fingers. So I was jamming her up on it. Why do you guys do that? Why do you know? I was like, kind of, because I was curious about that.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody hold a stick like that. And in the time that I've been doing it quite a while. But to see that, and I wanted to hear what you're... And she actually came up with some legitimate answers, so kudos to you.
Cool.
You did good. But
totally in the dark now, but yeah. Go ahead. Keep going.
But to end it off, though, she says this, she goes, but I wouldn't do it this way either.
Oh. So you show the technique, but you wouldn't do it yourself.
Well, I feel like a lot of techniques, it just kind of depends on the person and whether they're... I mean, so I think for, like, Grandmaster Harry, he's trained that so much that he could make that work.
Oh, yeah.
I would struggle with that, but I've only been doing it for 2 years.
He has a strong grip. He pulled me a few times.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those... And I know Dennis says this all the time. It's like, different things are going to work for different people. People have different body types, different skill sets, different... I mean, I'm going to move differently than anybody else. And what works for me might not work for you. And
what you just said there is exactly why we teach the way we teach. Because everybody's an individual. And if you try to get everybody to conform the same way, it isn't going to happen.
That's why a lot of people quit.
Yeah. You'll get a couple of the students who say, I can't do it like that because my body is not geared for that.
And it drives me nuts when a teacher, in any subject, and not just the martial arts, like I said, I used to want to be a teacher, so I did pre-credential classes at one point. And there were always debates about the best style of teaching and stuff like that, and it drove me nuts whenever a teacher was set on, like, this is how you have to learn. Right. And I had college professors like that where I was like, well, clearly somebody's failing because they're not getting it. So, like,
something has to give.
Yeah. So, in any area.
When you were teaching, students, did you ever on your own change any ideas or thought that, okay, I won't do it this way, but I'll show it this way?
I think she's too respectful for that.
But I also think she's very intelligent.
It depends on are we talking in the martial arts?
Yeah, in the martial arts.
So I taught at the dojo for 2 or 3 summers. I worked at the dojo as a instructor for the kids classes officially, and it was mostly the littler ones.